Hi again then guys, and welcome to another GT Sports Circuit setup. Of course, once again for another Group 3 car, a suggested Group 3 car by a member of the community once again. Pretty obvious choice, it's a very good one, the Mercedes AMG GT3. Now we are yet to test out the SLS of course, so it'll be interesting to see how that one stacks up, but in its stock form, of course stock being a very relative term for a GT3 car, it's actually one of the most powerful GT3s. 613 horsepower is a lot. It's got a lot of torque as well, but it's also reasonably heavy, 1325 kilos. Now, of course, with any of these tunes, balance of performance completely changes everything anyway, and for those who ask occasionally why do I include balance of performance in the title of these videos, it's because I use it as a general term to mean, in other words, tuning the car when you're not allowed to upgrade the power and weight. So that just overarching sense of this is what you can do without actually spending any mileage points on the car, so that in lobbies where you cannot tune the car, or rather you cannot upgrade the car, you can still use the tuning side, where you can adjust the settings. So that's basically what I mean by that. So of course you can drop the weight if you want to, likewise with the power, you could take it up or down as necessary, but this just gives you an idea of what it can do straight out of the crate, basically. Now, as far as traction control, of course you want it turned off. Some people have it turned on, maybe if you're not quite as comfortable with these cars or less experienced in the game, that's absolutely fine. There is nothing to berate about using traction control, even the real race cars actually have it. However, I would recommend over time try to wean yourself off of using traction control, because ultimately you will be quicker without it. You'll learn to be quicker. And technically you'll be quicker without ABS as well. I'm just lazy in that regard. Now, as far as tyres, we've got RaceHards, once again, to show you what it can do in less than stellar conditions. So then if you do go up to mediums or softs, it will be even faster. So again, this is just to give you a baseline of what the car's capable of. The brake balance we have not adjusted. That's down to personal preference, really. I know some people do like to change that. As far as the suspension, we've got the ride height as usual, 5mm higher than the lowest setting for the front and the back. Of course, if you are using inches, if you're in America, you'll need to convert the millimeters to inches in Google. It's not difficult though. As far as the frequency, we've got 3 front and rear, anti-roll 6 for the front and the back. It's a pretty stiff, pretty understeery car through corners, but in a good way, so you might want to even drop potentially the anti-roll to maybe 5 on the back, maybe on both, but I'll leave that down to you, see what you feel comfortable with. We've got 56 on the compression, 85 on the rebound, 1 degree of camber. To be honest, that feels kind of like too much for this car. It's already so stable, but again, it can help with turn-in, especially on the front end, so I'll leave it down to you if you want to fiddle about with that, see if you prefer maybe 1 degree on the front, none on the back, maybe a little bit more on the back than on the front. Try it out. Of course, that's the whole point of these tunes. As far as the toe, that is neutral. For the aero, again, it is a circuit build, not a straight line build, so we've got the highest downforce for the best grip. Again, take it on Le Mans or Monza or somewhere like that, you will want to lower that. As far as the diff, I've gone for the highest initial torque, then the lowest acceleration and braking. That might not be to everyone's taste, because I know a lot of people don't like cars that are heavier through corners. Personally, I prefer that because it's more predictable, whereas I know some people prefer a car that's a bit more loose, like the Ferrari. Again, that's down to you. You could try increasing the acceleration and braking if you want to, test it out once again. Again, that's the whole point of the tunes. They are these canvases to give you an idea of where you can start from, and then you can put your own personal flair in there, make it a little Frankenstein creation to potentially make it even quicker. That's absolutely the point. Then finally, for the transmission, you want the fully customized gearbox, obviously. Then the auto setting of 180 miles per hour is what I would recommend. And of course, it goes without saying, this is with untouched power. If you do increase the power, you will need to make the gears longer, otherwise you'll just top out too quickly. Then for the individual gears, we've got 2975, 2150, 1675, 1375, 1175, and 1050 with a final drive of 3.1. That's more than enough in terms of top speed for most circuits. Once again, if you get into territory where you're looking at top-end stuff, you'll probably have low downforce as well anyway, maybe a bit more power like for Le Mans, but again, that's down to you. So that's it for the tune. Tons of room for variation, as always, but what you want to see is how does this one stack up against the, 5 other Group 3 cars that we've done so far? Well, let's find out. So as far as how this one does compare, it's not the new quickest one. I know some people might be expecting that. The Citroen is still the reigning king, for now at least, and of course if you watch these videos down the line in the future, who knows, we may have found something else that beats the Citroen, may even be the next video, of course I can't predict that, but for now this one isn't quite as quick. However, this is the second fastest. It's right behind the Citroen and is in fact faster than the previous best, the BMW M6. So that's not bad. That's not bad at all, especially given how heavy the car is. It's a lot heavier than some of the others. So in terms of how it performs, how it drives, I would recommend this one actually for less experienced drivers, because it's a surprisingly forgiving car. It's got a ton of grip. You can put down a huge amount of throttle without really spinning up the tyres too much, despite the fact that it is very powerful and very torquey. So if you do want to use this tune, I hope of course you have a ton of fun with it. You can definitely win races with it, and I'll be interested to know if you do use it online, maybe give it more or less power, what kind of results you get, if you win races, if you enjoy it, and of course if it's not to your style, then try out one of the other tunes instead. But if you want to check out all of those other Group 3 tunes, as well as tons, literally hundreds of other tunes that I've done for GT Sport, with everything from drift, to circuit, to drag, to top speed racing, and everything in between, then click right here on screen. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.